Hey there folks, welcome to the channel. I'm glad you could be here. In today's sausage recipe, we're going to be making an English sausage with French and Italian origins. We're making the English Chipolata. This sausage really stands in its own category for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's a small diameter sausage that's not very long. Some of its counterparts are a bit wider and a bit longer. It's also a milder version than the Italian and French chipolatas and often contains the addition of rusk. Let's make the English Chipolata.
This chipolata sausage is going to use the 22-24 millimeter sheep casing. And in the world of sheep casings, at least the ones that the sausage maker sells, they go up to 28 millimeter. But I thought 22-24 was more appropriate for this skinnier English version. And they have been rinsed and flushed. And currently they are soaking in a little bit of water that has baking soda in it. We're going to let this rest in the refrigerator overnight. It's now the next morning. When it comes to the meat selection for this sausage, we're going to be going all pork. I'm going to be using pork shoulder and some pork back fat. And as always, we're just going to be cutting this up into pieces that are small enough to fit into the grinder. When it comes to the fat, I do like to cut it up a little bit smaller than I do the pork because I find that it does grind easier and it produces a better product. But however you choose to do it, just make sure that your meat is partially frozen before you begin the grinding process. This is what our meat and fat looks like now that it's processed. And notice that there's not a lot of it. Well, that's because a portion of this recipe is rusk and water, which we'll be adding towards the end of the process. Into the freezer it goes, and it's now partially frozen. So this took probably 45 minutes into the freezer. And our pieces are very cold, under 34 degrees Fahrenheit or 1 degree Celsius. How you grind this sausage is completely up to you. We're going to be doing a double grind on a 6 millimeter plate. But if you want to grind it on a 6 millimeter and finish on a 3 millimeter, make it a more finely textured sausage, that's great. If you want to run it through your food processor and make it more like an emulsified sausage, you could do that as well. This is grind number 1 on the 6 millimeter plate. We are going to re-chill this real quick and then run it through the grinder one more time, which is what you're seeing right here. And if you do it this way, this is exactly what yours should look like. Long spaghetti-like strands, nothing smeared. When you grab it, your hands shouldn't feel greasy. Perfect. Let's look at the spices. We're going to start with a little salt. We're going to be adding some white pepper. You can add black pepper if you'd like. And then we're going to add some mace. Mace can be a little overpowering, so you want to make sure to use it sparingly. We're also going to add some onion flakes or some dehydrated onion chips. I've got a little sage, and we're going to add some dried thyme. Let's not forget about the coriander, and that's what our spice profile is going to look like. This is everything put together. We've got our rusk, and rusk is basically yeastless breadcrumbs, very easy to make. Flour, water, salt, baking powder. Maybe we'll do a video on how to make it. There's our water. We're going to add the water that the recipe calls for to our rusk and allow the rusk to absorb that while we get everything else mixed together. In a mixing bowl, now we're going to be using our KitchenAid stand mixer. You can obviously do this by hand, not a problem. We're going to start mixing, and then we're going to add our spices. One thing I will add, make sure the temperature of your meat is chilled to below 34 Fahrenheit before you mix. This just ensures that you don't smear the fat through the mixing process. It can generate a bit of heat, and if it's not properly chilled, then you will run into a problem later. Let's go ahead and add our rusk. We've got our spices in there. And notice how our meat mixture is just coming together. As we mix, and I'm saying maybe within 60 to 90 seconds, at least with a KitchenAid, you're going to notice it become very sticky. A lot like this. If you grab a small handful of it, it should stick to the underside of your hand. And I'm looking at this right here, and this is beautiful. I'm loving what that rusk does. It adds a completely different texture to your sausage. Nice and sticky. Look at that. Absolutely perfect. Let's get this into its casing. Remember, we're using the sheep casing, 22-24 millimeter, and so we're going to be using the 5-pound sausage stuffer from the sausage maker with the 1/2-inch horn. That is perfect for your sheep casings. When you start to get into the 26-28 millimeter sheep casing, you could probably use the 3/4 inch horn, but for this one, 1/2-inch horn is going to be perfect. Let's slam that into the hopper, and we're doing that to minimize any air pockets. The other way that you can minimize air pockets is just place your meat into the hopper and then just punch it down, and do that every time you add meat. And there we go. This is what it's going to look like. This is 1 kilo batch. Remember, the recipe link will be in the description box below. And it's time to load up that casing. And I get it. I know sheep casing can be a little tricky. We are going to put a little bit of that water inside the casing. And because that water has some baking soda in it, it's going to make it super slippery. It should be relatively easy to get on and off the horn. And if you happen to get any knots, they will come out pretty easy as well. So if you haven't ever put baking soda inside your water that your sausage casing soaks in, I invite you to give it a try next time you make sausage. It's an absolute game changer. Trust me on that one. For those of you that currently add baking soda to the water that your sausage casing soaks in, drop me a comment in the comment section below and let others know what you think about that particular trick. All right, we're onto our second casing, and it looks like we are done. The remaining meat that's inside that stuffing horn, we're going to push through with a stuffing horn cleaner. It is now time to link these babies up. So what we're going to do here is make these, 4 inches. 3 twists forward. We're going to pinch it with our right hand, and then we're going to 3 twists back. And I'm just going to alternate the way that I twist until that I'm done with the link. And every twist that you make tightens up that casing. It compresses the meat. And so if you feel like you maybe understuffed your casing, you could twist it 4 or 5 times until your casing is nice and tight and your sausage is plump. If you happen to notice any air pockets, give them a little prick, as pricking the casing is going to help relieve some of the pressure. As these cook, that breadcrumb in there is going to expand a little bit more, and it'll keep your sausage from rupturing. These sausages are officially finished. It is a fresh sausage, so technically you could cook one up right now and enjoy it. But I am going to place these into the refrigerator because an overnight stay in the fridge is going to firm up the casing, allow all those ingredients to come together beautifully so that when we cook them up tomorrow, we're going to get a full flavored chipolata sausage. It's going to be amazing. See you tomorrow.
The English Chipolata sausage, a little different than the French and Italian, even German versions of the Chipolata sausage. And I am incredibly pleased with the way this turned out. I mean, look at that. Beautiful looking sausage. And when I give this a little squeeze, I can definitely feel that our sausage has that beautiful density that we're looking for. The density that tells us that our fat is still in the sausage, which is going to make it ultra juicy. And quite possibly one of the reasons why our sliced cut here is super, super juicy. That looks absolutely amazing. We did go fine texture with the grind on this one. You could do an emulsified version. You can maybe just grind it one time. I think it comes down to a personal preference, but I don't think a sausage of this diameter is going to be too coarse to begin with. I would say let's go in for a quick smell, but this is such an aromatic sausage. I can smell all of those beautiful herbs, some of the different spices that we added to the recipe, the thyme, the sage. I mean, they're coming through. And you know what? Let's just give it a bite. I like it. This is such a tasty sausage. Flavor-wise, I would consider it to be delicate. Sage, thyme, not overpowering. I'm getting the hints of onion, and that little bit of coriander that we added is adding this almost floral element, which I feel like it's really working in this sausage. As far as the texture goes, it's different than most other sausages that we make, and that's because of the addition of rusk with water. Incredibly tasty. I could see where I could use this for all different types of recipes or eat by themselves. And I'm sure there's lots of variations of this same sausage in the UK. And so if you make the Chipolata sausage and your recipe is slightly different, I'd love to hear what you put in yours. So the next time I make it, maybe I can experiment with some different ingredients. I do hope you get a chance to make this sausage. You can find a printable recipe link in the description box below. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comment section. If you like today's video, give it a thumbs up. If you're new to this channel and you enjoy making sausage, or you enjoy eating sausage and you're just curious as to how they're made, be sure to hit that subscribe button and that notification bell. This month, we're uploading a brand new sausage making recipe every day, and as you can tell, we're almost done. But don't worry, because at the end of this video, I'll leave a video suggestion, probably right about here, where you can go back to the beginning and watch the entire season. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.